So we have brand new information. We have the full manga chapter translated. We also have the details on what happened in the arcade mission within Super Dragon Ball Heroes Ultra Guide mission number 9. This video is going to be more than the traditional 8 minutes. There is some dialogue that needs to be read from the manga chapter as well as from the arcade mission. So let's dive into it. Make sure to leave a like if you're brand new or returning back. Starting with the manga chapter first, the title of this chapter is called The Fusion Warrior Vegito versus the Dark King Demigra. And the story starts off first in Namek, Hellified. As we can see, the Dark Demon Realm beast Sharoom fighting against a capsule core version of Gohan. And as this guy begins to move so unfamiliar to Gohan, Gohan says he's already figured out the range of that sight. And as he screams now, he's shooting a ki blast at Sharoom, but Sharoom is agile enough to actually dodge his sudden attack. Sharoom calls back and say, "You're naive," which makes it easy to read you, Papa. Now I find it crazy that he just called Gohan Papa, but I know why. It's because he's used to fighting the Xano version of Gohan, the Time Patroller, and Pan is part of the Time Patrol. So Xano Pan, Xano Gohan, that's his daughter. Just like he asked Gohan in chapters back, why aren't you turning into that monkey form that you have, the Super Saiyan 4 transformation? Not knowing this is a different Gohan who doesn't have access to that transformation. As Sharoom begins to come in closer and closer to Gohan, Gohan is saying to himself that his movements are too irregular to aim. And Piccolo, or should I say the warrior in black Namekian, calls him my disciple. I told you your attacks are too straight. As Gohan remembers his battle earlier with the Namekian warrior in black, he begins to spawn a spirit ball similar to what Yamcha does. Shooting the attack off at Sharoom dodges it easily. But Sharoom didn't take into account that he can control that spirit ball just like Yamcha does. And it does actually hit him. So he remembered exactly what the Namekian warrior in black told him, that if your opponent's movements are hard to read, then deal with them once they move. And sure enough, when Sharoom actually moved, that's when he hit him with a Kamehameha, point blank. I do also want to point out that if he was able to go ahead and get him out of there with a Kamehameha in Super Saiyan 2, then that means Xano Gohan is incredibly weak, because he's been fighting the Time Patroller, the Xano version of Gohan, who uses Super Saiyan 4. Heroes did not do well with that at all. Now meanwhile, while Gohan is taking care of Sharoom, that's when the other Dark Demon Realm warriors go ahead and try to jump in. What I'm saying that Sharoom, he let his guard down. Guess I should help him and make him owe me another one. As somebody who I can only assume is Deborah says wait, but he doesn't wait up. As the Namekian warrior in black says those guys are still out there, seemingly charging up a special beam cannon. And on the next page, we see that go into fruition. Both Namekian warriors simultaneously shoot off a special beam cannon, taking out the warrior Gravy who tried to aid Sharoom. Now to the side, Deborah just pretty much calls them idiots for even falling for that. Now the Namekian warrior in black says, "How is that, my disciple?" As we see both warriors are down. Sharoom as well as Gravy are completely out of there. Gohan answering him saying, "Well, I say I passed." Switching back over to the battle in question, Demigra versus Vegito. Of course they are still in the selection room, but it is completely destroyed. As the two warriors begin to look at each other, Vegito is thinking, he withstood my big move, huh? Looks like he got some pretty tough arms, man. The narration begins to tell us that the dark factor depends on how it's used. If it's used for defense, it offers a strong shield. Demigra begins to say a fusion warrior can last up to a certain time limit or a power limit. I've taken enough measures for its strengths and weaknesses. And Vegito hearing this, he says, "You're just stalling for time. What a nasty fighter you are." As he begins to push Demigra offensively, he says, "Let's have a good fierce match against each other." as we see Vegito pretty much do everything that he can to go ahead and catch Demigra off guard, breaking through his defenses and knocking him to a nearby cliff as he uses spirit sword to try to pierce him. But that piercing didn't happen, and that's because of what we just said in the previous page. The dark factor is shielding Demigra. Because of his arms and because of the dark factor, it's a pretty good shield. Even Vegito is thrown back by that. Now Vegito, he begins to commentate saying that you really got some tough arms, don't you? As he begins to fly at Demigra again, but this time he fakes him out, landing down to the ground while Demigra already has his defenses up and kicking him straight in the air. With his opponent up in the air and seemingly defenseless, he begins to do multiple sword spirit strikes. As Demigra is still defending, and he says, or should I say Vegito says, those arms are a pain in the ass. At that moment, he was able to break Demigra's guard. Like I said in my previous video, similar to any fighting video you play when you break somebody's guard. But his guard momentarily broke, he takes the opportunity to actually whack him hard as ever in his face. As Demigra turns his head back around, he says, so you can see the bruise on his neck as well as his face. But he says, dark factor enhance. And just like that, his wound began to heal. And he actually is able to throw Vegito off guard and throw him down. The fused warrior began to realize that it's not just his arms that are tough. He stores a good amount of ki and releases it when he needs to. Demigra, hearing this, just says that he's taking special measures against fusion warriors. The moment your attack hits, if I focus the ki of the dark factor on that spot, no matter how powerful your attack may be, it can be neutralized. And unlike you, I don't have a time limit. Vegito, looking back at him, says it's really a nasty way to fight, but in short, I just can't let you properly judge where you should enhance your defenses. So Vegeta begins to power up even more, but not his body, not him physically. He begins to power up his spirit sword even more, seemingly look like what Gogeta did to his whole entire body when he achieved this new evolution. Screams out, then how about this? As he begins to send out so many slashes that I can't even tell how many, Demigra seems to be having a really hard time with the amount of slashes and the amount of power that each one is throwing out. And Vegito, seeing how his attack is actually piercing through those tough arms, begins to say your fainted defense can't hold up for long. But Demigra, he says great speed and power indeed, but as Vegito's last attack did not hit, it stopped and it dissipated. As Demigra says, as calculated, your time's up. We see everything around Vegito glow up because he's defused them. The fusion is over, and Demigra says, I admit the extraordinary power of the fusion, but its forced dissolution is a fatal flaw. Pretty much saying that, yeah, the fusion is good, it's very strong, it's very fast, it's hard to counter, but it being timed out is the big weakness that it has. And Vegeta begins to say, what are you bragging about when you're so damaged that you can't even lift your arms? Even if the fusion is undone, I can still fight. I was gonna send you to hell without fusion in the first place. Back to that instant when he was fighting Demigra by himself, and then the time gods pretty much forced him to fuse with Goku. As Demigra replies, oh, that's exciting, as he begins to do another metamorphosis. The two Saiyans take notice of what's going on, and Demigra says, in that case, I must take an offensive stance from here on out. As we see Demigra's final form, Vegeta scoffing off on what he's seeing here. He says now he's even got more powerful. I really don't have enough energy left to fight that guy. As Goku says, yeah, me too. Go on to say that it might just be good to just give up quietly for once here. As the other one begins to laugh, yeah, that might really be a good idea. Not, as they both are transformed into Ultra Instinct Omen and Vegeta's Super Saiyan Blue Evil Ki controlled, simultaneously going for a Kamehameha and a Gallic Gun. And we finally got a name for the big attack that Demigra is doing, the Chaotic Gigantus. Now that does it for the manga chapter, but wait, don't leave yet. We gotta go over the arcade mission to see the differences between there. Now that we've seen what happened in the manga chapter, and now that we've seen what happened in the promotional anime, let's see what happened in the actual arcade mission, Ultra Guide mission number 9. So it seems in an arcade mission that in the fight, Vegito only used his legs to block Demigra's attack and beat him up. Other than that, the Kamehameha at the end, which diffused him. So it looks like this part still holds true to the promotional anime and part of the manga as well, because in the manga he was defending him with his legs only. We didn't see that in the promotional anime. So it looks like the arcade mission took both the anime and manga references. Now here's what's interesting. The Namekian warrior in black told Piccolo that he joined Ios because he owes her a debt. Ios or Aos helped him gain more power in exchange for separating him from his space-time, which shows that something really bad happened with him in his own timeline. And he's also proud of seeing Gohan getting so strong in another space-time. When it comes to Yamcha and Vegito here, it says Vegito asked Yamcha for marriage, but before Yamcha could reply, Lord Chill started screaming in pain, which was due to Demigra's transforming into his Time Unleashed form, which affected Chill and every other evil fighter, making him stronger due to the rise of Dark Factor inside Demigra. You gotta remember, if you forgot, Demigra shared some of the Dark Factor with all of the other beings, evil beings around him. So by extension, if he got stronger using more Dark Factor, then they do as well. And we've seen this happen in the promotional anime. This also explains why Golden Metal Cooler became part of the group, because of course his heart is evil. It was just he had no choice but to play in iOS's game. Now it said Demigra planned to destroy the entire Time Nest along with all the fighters, including his evil army, with this attack. If it hits the ground, then everything will be over, including the time scrolls. Remember in the promotional anime, Chill said, is he trying to destroy us too with that attack? It goes on to say that Goku fired a Kamehameha against the attack of Demigra in his blue form, but in the arcade, Vegeta joined him too in his blue form, and they fired a Gallic Gun, but both Majin Buu Fat and Rebel interrupted and attacked Vegeta, which led Vegeta no choice but to fight them, leaving Goku alone in the beam clash. Now this is all kinds of different, and the reason why I'm saying that is because in the manga we seen Vegeta destroy Buu. He's gone, so we won't be seeing Majin Buu interrupt Goku and Vegeta in the manga because he already destroyed him in the manga. As far as Rebel, as far as I know, she's still trapped within Ios's time technique. Could we see her intervene? Who knows? The future warrior in black saw Goku and Demigra beam clash and was about to go with Xeno Trunks, but Bojack, Super 13, Slug, and Cell were not letting him go so easily. So Trunks told him to go handle it while Trunks stayed behind. Another difference here is that Xeno Goten jumped in to help future Trunks. Should I say Xeno Trunks? In the promotional anime, we've seen Xeno Gohan, I believe, join in the fray. Him with 2 other people, so we have yet to see exactly who that was. But we do know a lot of people showed up in the promotional anime. Android 16 is what stood out to me the biggest in the promotional anime. Now it goes on to say that Xeno Gogeta was about to defeat Xeno Broly, but just like Vegito, he defused. Xeno Broly truly is a beast. Now, of course, we've seen that in the promotional anime as well. We've seen both Xeno Goku and Xeno Vegeta fighting simultaneously against Xano Broly. But the thing is, we've seen the Universe 6 warriors jump in to help them shortly afterwards. And that pretty much does it for the arcade mission. Of course, next month we'll have the fresh new manga chapter for Super Dragon Ball Heroes. Are we gonna see a promotional anime before August 3rd? It waits to be seen. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're brand new. I do this all the time. I talk about all things Super Dragon Ball Heroes, Dragon Ball Super. No matter what Dragon Ball anime that comes about, it will be covered on this channel. So make sure to subscribe if you're brand new. Leave a like. Likes go a long way on this channel. Turn on those post notifications. That way you can be reminded every time I upload a new video. And I'll see you guys on the next one.